My feet finally touched the ground of South Korea. 1 second. Sohee looked at me with tears in her eyes. 2 seconds. She whispered, "Hung, we really did it." 3 seconds. She took a step towards me. 4 seconds. I walked towards Sohee. 5 seconds. I said, "You're free now, Sohee." 6 seconds. Sohee suddenly grimaced. 7 seconds. She muttered, "Hung, something's wrong." 8 seconds. Sohee's body started to lean forward. 9 seconds. A red spot spread across her white flight suit. 10 seconds. Sohee collapsed completely. "Sohee, snap out of it, please." The desperate cry of her husband echoed across the runway of Incheon Airport. Just 10 seconds ago, the 21-year-old female pilot, who was smiling, suddenly collapsed, spitting blood. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Her white flight suit turned red. The ambulance rushed in, and when the medical team opened her abdomen, what they found inside was not a child. It was the extremely dangerous thing, containing all of North Korea's nuclear secrets. The couple who flew 400 kilometers at the risk of their lives. But why did she collapse? Just 10 seconds after landing? What was her true identity that she had been hiding inside her body?
It starts now. If you could hit subscribe and give a like before. Every day will start with a new, touching story and a happy day. Please leave comments too. Today's story begins.
I had to make the most terrible choice of my life. Kill my friend or die myself. August 23, 2024, 2:30 p.m., 8,000 meters above Suncheon Airfield in North Korea. I was sitting in the cockpit of a MiG-21, my hands sweaty. My wife Sohee was in another MiG-21 flying alongside me. "Cheolmin, this is it. Turn south." Sohee's voice came through the radio. I pushed the control stick to the right. The two fighter jets simultaneously turned towards the south, turning our backs on North Korea, heading towards freedom. But less than 3 minutes later, the radar warning started to beep. 4 MiG-29s were rapidly approaching from behind. They were pursuit aircraft. My heart pounded. I knew who the leader of the pursuing squadron was. Park Hyun-woo. He was my close friend with whom I had trained for 8 years at the aviation school. Unidentified aircraft, return to base immediately. I repeat, return immediately. Hyun-woo's voice came through the radio. It was a cold, firm voice. But I didn't turn off the radio. "Hyun-woo, it's me. Ri Cheolmin," I radioed in a trembling voice. "Cheolmin? Is that really you? What on earth are you doing?" Confusion mixed with Hyun-woo's voice. "I'm sorry, Hyun-woo, but we're leaving. We can't live here anymore. You've gone crazy. Come back now. It's not too late. I'll figure something out." But I pushed the throttle further. I increased the speed to its maximum. Mach 1.2, 1500 kilometers per hour. Sohee's aircraft also increased speed. Hyun-woo radioed again. "Cheolmin, this is your last warning. If you don't return within 10 seconds, I've been ordered to open fire. Please come back." 10, 9, 8. The countdown began. I radioed Sohee. "Sohee, get ready. Missiles are coming soon. Okay, let's go all the way. 7, 6, 5. "Cheolmin, I'm really sorry." The moment I heard Hyun-woo's last words, the radar warning beeped like a scream. "Missile launch! 2 heat-seeking missiles!" I immediately released flares. The hot fireballs spread behind the aircraft. The first missile was fooled by the flare and missed, but the second missile kept coming. "Dive!" I pushed the control stick forward. The aircraft began to drop vertically. It plummeted from 8,000 meters to 5,000, then 3,000 in an instant. The missile narrowly passed by, but I couldn't relax. Hyun-woo's squadron was still pursuing us. "Cheolmin, this can't go on!" "You could really die in the next attack." I heard Hyun-woo's desperate voice. I knew. Hyun-woo was also in a situation where he had to follow orders. The second missile attack began. This time, 6 missiles came at once, 3 each towards Sohee and me. "Sohee, let's head towards the mountains." We turned our aircraft towards the eastern mountain range of North Korea. We started flying between the tall mountain peaks. The missiles hit the mountains and exploded. A huge explosion filled the sky. But the pursuit didn't end. Hyun-woo's squadron was still following us. Low-altitude flight in mountainous terrain. A perilous situation where a single mistake could result in a crash into the mountains. A breathless 15-minute chase ensued. I checked the fuel gauge. 30%. It was a tight amount to make it to Incheon Airport. "Sohee, how's the fuel?" 20%. A bit short, but we can make it. Then I heard Hyun-woo's final radio transmission. "Cheolmin, I can see the armistice line. I'm stopping here. Survive, my friend. The pursuit aircraft began to slow down. They couldn't cross the armistice line without it becoming an international issue. I looked back. The 4 MiG-29s were getting farther away. Hyunwoo had saved me by disobeying orders. Thank you, Hyunwoo, I muttered to myself. And I kept flying south, but I didn't know then that the real danger was just beginning, and what Sohee was risking her life to protect. Just 50 kilometers to the armistice line. Only 30 minutes left until freedom. It all started 3 months ago. May 15, 2024, the most terrible day of my life. That morning, I was returning home after my usual flight training. I saw 2 black sedans parked in front of our apartment in the central district of Pyongyang. It was a state security department vehicle. My heart sank. I raced up the stairs fearing something had happened to Sohee. As soon as I opened the apartment door, Sohee clung to me. Her whole body was trembling. Keolmin Oppa, my father. My father. Sohee couldn't continue. 2 state security department agents were standing in the living room. Are you Comrade Ri Cholman? One of them approached me. We need to verify a few things regarding Dr. Kim Yang-ho. Please report to the State Security Department in Pyongyang by 9 a.m. tomorrow. After the agents left, Sohee told me everything. Sohee's father, Dr. Kim Yang-ho, was a key figure in North Korea's nuclear development program. He had worked at the Atomic Energy General Bureau for 20 years. But recently, he had suggested to Kim Jong-un to halt nuclear development. We can never defeat the United States with nuclear weapons. It will only make our people suffer more. Those were Dr. Kim's words at the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea. But these words reached Kim Jong-un's ears and were branded as anti-party remarks. The next morning, I went to the State Security Department. As soon as I entered the interrogation room, an agent spoke to me. Kim Yang-ho is a traitor who betrayed the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. As his son-in-law, you must undergo ideological scrutiny too. I was interrogated for 6 hours. They pried into every conversation I had with Dr. Kim, my thoughts on nuclear development and my relationship with Sohee. On my way home after the interrogation, Sohee called me. Appa, they say my father has been handed over for a public trial. Public trial. My legs went weak at those words. In North Korea, being handed over for a public trial meant public execution. May 20, 10 a.m., Mayakovsky Square in Pyongyang. Tens of thousands of Pyongyang citizens gathered. Sohee and I were among them. Dr. Kim was dragged onto the stage. His emaciated face, his hunched shoulders. He had become a completely different person in just 5 days. People of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, here today, we shall deliver the final judgment on the traitor Kim Yang-ho. The host's voice echoed across the square. Dr. Kim stood before the microphone. With a trembling voice, he began his self-criticism. I am a sinner who betrayed the great leader and the party. I attempted to sell the nuclear technology I researched to the West. It was a false confession. But Dr. Kim had to keep talking. It was the only way his family could live. Beside me, Sohee bit her lip and shed tears. After the self-criticism, the execution began. Soldiers emerged with machine guns. Prepare to fire! Aim, Dr. Kim looked at us and mouthed the words, Sohee, live. Fire! Gunshots rang out. Dr. Kim's body fell backward. Sohee gripped my arm tightly. But she didn't cry. It wasn't a situation where crying was allowed. That night, when we returned home, we didn't say a word. There was nothing to say. But the next morning, Sohee woke me up. Appa, let's get out of here. We can't live in this country anymore. Sohee's eyes held both anger and despair. Father left a message. He asked me to convey it to you. Sohee took out a small envelope. Dr. Kim had secretly given it to her the night before his execution. Inside the envelope was a small piece of paper. To my son-in-law, there is no hope in this country. Take my daughter to South Korea. Let her live there doing real science. And I have hidden something. Sohee knows about it. I looked at Sohee. What did your father hide? Sohee pulled out a small box from under the bed. Inside the box was a USB drive and some blueprints. What is this? These are the locations of all North Korea's nuclear facilities and the process of making nuclear weapons. Data that my father collected over 20 years. My hands shook. This was North Korea's top-secret information. If discovered, it could lead to the annihilation of not just us, but our entire families. Father said, take this to South Korea and use it for unification without nuclear weapons. At that moment, I made a decision to follow Dr. Kim's last wish. But there was a problem. How were we going to get this data to South Korea? We couldn't pass through airport security, and the chances of being caught if we escaped overland to China were high. Then So-hee made a shocking proposal. Appa, I'll hide this inside my body and take it with me. Hide it inside her body? I couldn't understand what she meant. But soon I learned of So-hee's plan, and at that moment a chill ran down my spine. So-hee had already planned everything. When I heard So-hee's plan, I almost went crazy. Hide it inside your body? So-hee, snap out of it. Does that even make sense? But So-hee had already prepared everything. Surgical videos she found online, waterproof microcapsules, and even a surgical scalpel. Appa, is there another way? Is there another method that won't get caught by airport x-rays or body searches? So-hee was right. If we hid the USB outside our bodies, it would eventually be discovered. But who will perform the surgery? If we go to a hospital, we'll be reported immediately. I'll do it myself. I was stunned by So-hee's answer. What? You're going to do it yourself? I learned from father since I was young. He graduated from medical school. He majored in medicine before nuclear physics. Then it hit me. I had heard that Dr. Kim was a doctor when he was young. So-hee said she had been preparing for a week. She started planning from the day her father was executed. How will you handle anesthesia? I got a local anesthetic. I brought it from father's lab. So-hee showed me a small vial. It was labeled lidocaine. May 25, 11 p.m., the terrifying surgery finally began. So-hee lay down on a towel spread out on the bathroom floor. I stood beside her, shining a flashlight. Hyung, if I pass out, wake me up after 30 minutes. And under no circumstances go to the hospital. So-hee injected lidocaine below her navel, and 5 minutes later, she picked up a scalpel. So-hee, are you really okay? I'm fine. I'm starting. So-hee drew on her own stomach. Blood started flowing out. I couldn't bear to watch, so I closed my eyes. Ah! I heard So-hee groan. It seemed the anesthesia hadn't worked properly. So-hee, stop! This is too dangerous. No, just a little more. So-hee gritted her teeth and continued. She cut through the skin layer to the peritoneum and inserted a microcapsule inside. The capsule contained a USB left by her father. It held information on all of North Korea's nuclear secrets. It took 1 hour to finish the surgery. So-hee lost so much blood she almost lost consciousness. So-hee, snap out of it! I shook So-hee to wake her up. Fortunately, So-hee opened her eyes. It's done. Now I just need to suture. So-hee picked up a needle and thread and stitched her own wound. She disinfected the wound area and wrapped it with gauze. The surgery was completely finished at 2 a.m. Now we just need to wait 2 weeks for the wound to heal. Then we'll defect. But the problem was those 2 weeks. So-hee started running a fever. Starting the day after the surgery, she suffered from a high fever over 102F. It was a rejection reaction to the capsule. So-hee, let's go to the hospital. You'll really die like this. No. If I go to the hospital, they'll take an x-ray, and the capsule will be discovered. So-hee refused to go to the hospital even as her fever rose to 104F. Instead, she endured at home, taking only fever reducers. On the 3rd day, So-hee lost consciousness. I really wanted to take her to the hospital. But So-hee barely regained consciousness and grabbed my hand. Hyung, please wait just a little longer. This is the only way I can avenge my father. So-hee's eyes were burning with a desire for revenge. Full of anger towards Kim Jong-un, who killed her father, and towards this rotten regime. After a week, So-hee's fever started to go down a bit. Her body had adapted to the capsule. I'm okay now. I can defect in 2 weeks. But another problem arose. We heard that the State Security Department had tightened surveillance on Dr. Kim's family. So-hee's mother was taken to Yodok political prison camp, and we didn't know when we would be taken too. Hyung, we need to bring forward the defection date. Originally, we planned to defect at the end of June, but the situation became urgent. On June 10th, So-hee told me, please manipulate my flight training schedule for the day after tomorrow, so we can both take off at the same time. Isn't that too soon? Your wound hasn't even fully healed yet. I'm fine. I've already made up my mind. So-hee put her hand on her stomach. The wound area was still swollen and painful, but So-hee didn't show any sign of pain. June 12th, the day of our defection, finally arrived. As soon as I woke up in the morning, So-hee told me, Hyung, what will you do if I pass out during the flight? Why are you saying that? My abdominal pain is getting worse because of the capsule. I think it will hurt more if I experience G-force during the flight. My heart sank. Flying a fighter jet required tremendous physical strength. Flying with an abdominal wound was really dangerous. So let's think of another way. No, it's already too late. If we don't go today, we may never be able to go. So he was right. The State Security Department's surveillance net was already closing in. At 2 p.m., we headed to Suncheon Air Base. Sohee had taken a lot of painkillers. When putting on the flight suit, Sohee winced for a moment. It seemed the wound area hurt. Are you really okay? Yes, I can do it, Sohee answered with a forced smile. But I was anxious. Would Sohee be able to endure the long 250-mile flight? And would she be able to safely bring that dangerous secret hidden in her body to South Korea? The takeoff time was approaching. The night before our defection, we had our last dinner together. Kimchi stew and white rice. It was our last meal in North Korea. But I had no appetite, because all of this would be over tomorrow, whether we succeeded or failed. Sohee put down her chopsticks and looked at me. Hyung, if I can't make it during the flight, please go alone. What are you talking about? We're going together, just in case. If I pass out or can't fly, I cut Sohee off. That won't happen. We'll both arrive alive in South Korea. But inside I was anxious. Sohee's face was too pale. She hadn't been able to sleep properly for several days because of the abdominal wound. Hyung, what will happen if we get caught? We won't get caught, but just in case. I thought for a moment. If our defection attempt was discovered, we could be shot on the spot, or we could be tortured to death in a political prison camp. Let's not think about that. We will definitely succeed. That night, we couldn't sleep. Looking out the window, there was a black sedan parked in front of our apartment. It was a State Security Department surveillance vehicle. Hyung, they're watching us. I know. But we just need to hold on until tomorrow morning. At 4 a.m., Sohee woke up. Hyung, let's get ready now. Sohee took out her flight suit and changed the bandage wrapped around her abdomen. Some serum was oozing from the wound area. Does it still hurt? I'm fine. I took painkillers. But Sohee's voice lacked strength. At 6 a.m., we left for Suncheon Air Base. We had to act as usual, so we wouldn't arouse suspicion. As we passed the main gate of the airbase, I looked back. The black sedan was still following us. We arrived at the hangar. Our two MiG-21s were parked side by side. The mechanics were conducting the final inspection. Nice weather today, Comrade Captain. One of the mechanics said to me, Indeed, it looks like it's going to be a good day. I replied as naturally as possible. Sohee headed towards her fighter jet. She winced slightly as she climbed into the cockpit. It seemed like her abdomen was hurting. I also boarded my fighter jet. As soon as I sat in the cockpit, I turned on the radio. Sohee, do you copy? Yes, I copy. Sohee's voice sounded weaker than usual. Are you really okay? Yes, I can do it. But I could sense pain in Sohee's voice. At 2:30 p.m., it was finally time for takeoff. Control tower to 203 Squadron, permission to take off. The voice from the control tower was heard. I took a deep breath. There was no turning back now. Sohee, we're starting. Yes, I'm ready. Two MiG-21s simultaneously moved onto the runway. The sound of the engines echoed across the runway. I pushed the throttle to the max. The fighter jet began to accelerate rapidly. 200 kilometers, 300 kilometers, we reached takeoff speed. I pulled the control stick. The aircraft lifted off into the sky. Takeoff successful. Altitude climbing. Sohee's voice was heard. Fortunately, we had taken off safely. We climbed to 5,000 meters. It was our usual training altitude. 203 Squadron, head to the northeast training area. An order came from the control tower, but I turned the aircraft's nose in a different direction. Southward. Sohee, it's now. Sohee's fighter jet also turned southward. 203 Squadron, why are you deviating from the flight path? Return immediately. An urgent voice was heard from the control tower. I turned off the radio. I no longer needed to listen to their commands. I increased the speed to the maximum. Mach 5. 1.5 times the speed of sound. Sohee, how are you? Are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. Keep going. But I could sense pain in Sohee's voice. It seemed like the G-force was making her injury hurt more. 10 minutes later, the radar warning sounded. Chaser jets were approaching from behind. Sohee, they're coming from behind! Get ready. Got it. Then a familiar voice came through the radio. Cheolman, it's Hyunwoo. I'm really sorry. Park Hyunwoo. He was my close friend. Hyunwoo. It's an order, Cheolman. Return. It's not too late. But I continued flying southward. Hyunwoo, I'm sorry, but we're going. I'll open fire in 10 seconds. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. Sohee, missiles are coming. Get ready to evade. 7, 6, 5. Appa, something's wrong. Sohee's voice weakened. 4, 3, 2, 1. Missiles launched! The radar warning sounded like a scream. I immediately released flares, and I started a steep dive. Sohee, follow me. But there was no response from Sohee. Sohee! Answer me! Finally, Sohee's weak voice was heard. Uppa! My stomach. It hurt so much. My heart sank. Sohee was in a dangerous condition, but I couldn't stop now. The chaser jets kept firing missiles. Sohee, hold on a little longer. We're almost at the DMZ. Yes, I will. Sohee barely responded. A 20-minute dogfight ensued. Finally, the DMZ began to come into view. The chaser jets slowed down. They could no longer keep up. Hyunwoo, thank you, I muttered to myself. Hyunwoo had saved us. Now we were in South Korean airspace, the sky of freedom. But Sohee's condition was serious. Sohee, are you okay? Appa, my consciousness is fading. Sohee was about to pass out. Sohee, snap out of it! We're almost at Incheon Airport! Fortunately, Sohee came to her senses. Yes, I can make it. 30 minutes later, Incheon Airport came into view. Sohee, we've arrived. We did it! But there was no response from Sohee. Sohee? Sohee's fighter jet was wobbling. My heart felt like it was going to burst. Would Sohee be able to land safely? An emergency signal sounded from the Incheon Airport control tower. 2 unidentified aircraft approaching rapidly from the north. The controllers moved urgently. All civilian aircraft takeoffs and landings were immediately halted. I checked the fuel gauge. 15%. A precarious amount for landing. Sohee's fighter jet looked even worse. The aircraft was swaying left and right. Sohee, how much fuel do you have left? After a while, Sohee's weak voice was heard. 5%. Uppa? 5%. It wouldn't be surprising if the engine stopped at any moment. Then 4 huge fighter jets appeared from between the clouds. They were South Korean Air Force F-15Ks. North Korean aircraft. This is the South Korean Air Force. Please follow our guidance. The reassuring voice of our Air Force came through the radio. It was not a hostile tone, but rather one of protection. Thank you. South Korean Air Force. We request asylum. I responded with a trembling voice. Understood. We will guide you to land. Please lower your landing gear. 2 F-15Ks flanked me on either side. The other 2 escorted Sohee's aircraft. I could see the pilots' eyes through their helmets. They were on guard but not hostile. Rather, they looked concerned. Keolmin, my stomach. It hurt so much. Sohee's voice was growing weaker. Sohee, hold on a little longer. We'll land in 5 minutes. But black smoke began to come out of Sohee's aircraft. The engine had become unstable due to fuel depletion. South Korean Control Tower, this is North Korean Aircraft number 2. Engine shutdown risk due to fuel shortage. The F-15K squadron leader immediately radioed. Incheon Control Tower, emergency situation. Please clear the runway immediately. The Incheon Airport runway was completely emptied. All airport staff, fire trucks, and ambulances were on standby. I started my landing approach first. I lowered the altitude. 3,000 meters, 2,000 meters, 1,000 meters. The wheels touched the runway. Thud! I had arrived alive on South Korean soil. I turned off the engine and opened the canopy. The free air rushed into the cockpit. It was the sweet air of freedom. But I didn't get out of the cockpit. I had to wait for Sohee. Sohee's aircraft was approaching for landing, but her speed was too fast. It was difficult to control due to fuel shortage. Please be safe. I clenched my fists and prayed. Sohee's MiG-21 made contact with the runway, but the aircraft shook violently. It seemed the left wheel had a flat tire. The aircraft skidded down the runway. 300 meters, 500 meters, 800 meters. It was approaching the end of the runway. Then Sohee slammed on the brakes. White smoke billowed from the tires. Finally, the aircraft stopped, just 50 meters from the end of the runway. Sohee! I jumped out of the cockpit and ran to her. Sohee's canopy opened slowly. I saw her face as she took off her helmet. She was pale but smiling. Brother, we did it. Sohee began to get out of the cockpit. She carefully descended the ladder 1 step at a time. I spread my arms ready to receive her. Sohee's feet finally touched South Korean soil. 1 second. Sohee looked at me and shed tears. 2 seconds, she whispered. Brother, we really did it. 3 seconds. She took 1 step toward me. 4 seconds. I also walked towards Sohee. 5 seconds. I said, You're free now, Sohee. 6 seconds. Sohee suddenly grimaced. 7 seconds. She muttered, Brother. Something's wrong. 8 seconds. Sohee's body started to lean forward. 9 seconds. A red spot spread on her white flight suit. 10 seconds. Sohee collapsed completely. Sohee! I screamed. Blood was flowing from Sohee's body. Her abdominal surgery site had burst open. I heard the sound of sirens nearby. Medical personnel rushed over. Firefighters and paramedics all came running. Patient! Immediate medical attention needed. One of the medical staff checked Sohee's condition. Massive abdominal hemorrhage! Immediate surgery required! Sohee was transferred to a stretcher. I held Sohee's hand tightly. Sohee, stay conscious. Please stay conscious. But Sohee was unconscious. Guardian, please step aside. We need to save the patient. The medical staff pushed me away. The ambulance door closed. I tried to hold on to Sohee's hand until the last moment. The ambulance took off. I stood there in a daze. Sohee's blood was pooled on the runway. We had flown 400 kilometers, braving the risk of death. We had come this far, evading the North Korean military. Why did Sohee collapse? What on earth happened? People in black suits surrounded me. They were National Intelligence Service agents. Mr. Lee Chulman, please come with us. Your wife is being treated by the best medical team. I got into the car. The scenery of Incheon Airport passed by outside the window. It was my first moment in the land of freedom. But my heart was in darkness. Is Sohee okay? Why on earth did she collapse? I didn't know at the time what Sohee had risked her life to protect, and how crucial that information was to South Korea. National Intelligence Service Interrogation Room. Under the cold fluorescent lights, I sat in a chair. What is your name? The agent asked. Lee Chulman. I was a North Korean Air Force captain. Well, not anymore. What was your motive for defecting? I wanted to live. My wife and I stopped talking. The scene of my father-in-law's execution flashed before my eyes. The agent's cell phone rang. He answered and looked at me. His expression was serious. Your wife has been taken into emergency surgery. They say it's a massive abdominal hemorrhage. My legs went weak. I need to go to the hospital, too. Please, not now. We'll take you once the interrogation is over. 2 hours passed. All kinds of thoughts raced through my mind. What if Sohee dies? We barely survived. Then another agent came in. He was holding a large envelope. Mr. Lee Chulman, something unusual was found in your wife's surgical gown. The agent took out a small metal capsule from the envelope. It was a blood-stained capsule. What is this? It was extracted from your wife's abdomen. There's a USB inside. I finally realized why Sohee had been in so much pain, why she had refused to go to the hospital. What's on the USB? The agent turned on his laptop and showed me. The screen displayed detailed blueprints of North Korea's nuclear facilities. Yongbyon Nuclear Facility, Pyongyang Uranium Enrichment Facility, and even secret nuclear facilities I didn't know about. This is North Korea's entire nuclear secrets. I was speechless. Your wife's father is Dr. Kim Young-ho, right? The person in charge of North Korea's nuclear development? Yes, that's correct. But he was executed 3 months ago. The agents exchanged glances. Do you understand the value of this information? Because of this, we can accurately assess North Korea's nuclear threat. I finally understood why Sohee had risked her life. It wasn't just about defecting. It was about avenging her father and a gift for South Korea. Your wife is a hero, the agent told me. But how's the surgery going? Is Sohee okay? She's still in surgery. It's been 3 hours. 3 hours. It was taking too long. Is it dangerous? The agent didn't answer. That silence made me even more anxious. 6 hours later, I was finally allowed to go to the hospital. Seoul Asan Hospital Emergency Room. I waited outside the operating room. The red light on the operating room door. The words "in surgery" gripped my heart. I sat in a chair but couldn't stay still. I paced back and forth in the corridor. 8 hours had passed. The surgery was taking too long. Then the door to the operating room opened. A doctor in scrubs came out. Are you the guardian? Yes, that's right. How is my wife? The doctor took off his mask. He had a tired face but was smiling. Fortunately, the surgery was successful. I collapsed right there. She lived. So he lived. There was severe internal bleeding due to the foreign object, implanted in the abdomen, but fortunately the major organs were not damaged. When will she wake up? She will regain consciousness in a few hours. She is in the recovery room now. The doctor patted my shoulder. Your wife is really strong. An ordinary person couldn't pilot a fighter jet with that kind of injury. But your wife did it. Thank you, doctor. I really appreciate it. 2 hours later, I was able to enter Sohee's hospital room. Sohee was lying in bed. She was still asleep but had color in her face. I sat by the bed and held Sohee's hand. It was warm. Sohee, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know you were doing such dangerous things. Then Sohee's fingers moved. Her eyelids fluttered. She slowly opened her eyes. Brother! Did we survive? Sohee's voice was weak but clear. Yes, we survived. We made it! This is South Korea. Tears welled up in Sohee's eyes. Really? We're really free? Yes, really. Now no one is watching us. No one is giving us orders. Sohee cried in my arms, silently. But this time it wasn't tears of sadness. It was tears of relief and joy. After calming down a bit, I asked Sohee, Sohee, why didn't you tell me that you were doing such dangerous things alone? Sohee looked at me. If I told you, you would have stopped me. You would have said it was too dangerous. Of course. It was something that could have killed you. But if I didn't do this, I couldn't avenge father. And I couldn't help South Korea. I placed my hand on Sohee's abdomen, where the surgery scar was. You went through a lot. You really went through a lot. Brother, we're really free, right? Yes, we're truly free now. Then the door to the hospital room opened. NIS agents came in, but this time they brought bouquets of flowers. Thanks to the information your wife brought, our national security has been greatly helped. We sincerely thank you. The agent saluted Sohee. Sohee shed tears. Father, I avenged father. I cried too. We really did it. We risked our lives to find freedom and brought a precious gift for South Korea at the same time. What Sohee risked her life to protect. It wasn't just simple information. It was a hope for peace. 3 days later, Sohee fully woke up. As soon as I entered the hospital room, I was surprised. Sohee was sitting up in bed and smiling. Brother, you're here. Sohee, are you feeling okay? I'm much better. The doctor said I'm recovering quickly. Then a nurse came in. She was holding a bowl of warm soup. Patient, we've brought you some seaweed soup. It's good for your body, so please have a lot, the nurse said kindly. Sohee took the bowl and ate a spoonful. Then she shed tears. Why are you crying, Sohee? Brother, this seaweed soup. It's really delicious. It's a taste I could never have dreamed of in North Korea. I tried a spoonful, too. It was seaweed soup with real beef, an unimaginable luxury in North Korea. Everyone here is so kind, Sohee said. The doctors, the nurses, even the cleaning staff greeted me. It was unimaginable in North Korea. There, it was normal to spy on and suspect each other. Then the door to the hospital room opened. An NIS agent and another person came in. Hello, I am Kim Seong-ho, Vice Minister of the Ministry of Unification. A high-ranking government official had come in person. Richeol-min Lee Soo-jin. Thanks to the information you brought, our country is now able to prepare for the North Korean nuclear threat. The Vice Minister greeted them respectfully. The government has decided to recognize you two as special contributors. We will do our best to support you, so that you have no inconvenience in your life. So he asked cautiously, Are we really welcome? Of course. You two are now citizens of South Korea. You can live freely and proudly. At the Vice Minister's words, Sohee shed tears again. After the Vice Minister left, the doctor came for a checkup. The surgical site is healing well. You should be able to be discharged in a week. Doctor, thank you so much. Sohee greeted the doctor. There's nothing to thank me for. I just did what was natural. This is free South Korea. Everyone's life is precious. At the doctor's words, my heart was warm. A few days later, a HANA Center representative came. After you two are discharged, you will receive 3 months of adaptation training at HANA Center. What is HANA Center? Sohee asked. It's a place that helps people from North Korea adapt to South Korean society. We provide support for language, culture, and employment. The representative explained kindly. What about the cost? I asked worriedly. The government covers all costs. Don't worry. A week later, Sohee was discharged. As we left the hospital, Sohee said to me, Brother, it's like a dream. It's really like a dream. What is? No one is watching us. We can go wherever we want, eat whatever we want. This is what freedom really feels like. We took a taxi to Hana Center, the view of Seoul outside the window. Tall buildings, clean roads, and people walking freely. Brother, look at the expressions on those people's faces. So he pointed out the window. They all look relaxed. They live without fear. In North Korea, we always had to live on edge. You never knew when someone would report you, or when the security agency would come. We arrived at Hana Center. Clean buildings, spacious training grounds, and warm, welcoming staff. Welcome. We look forward to working with you for the next 3 months. The director of Hana Center personally came out to greet us. We were also assigned dormitory rooms. It was a clean room that a couple could share. All of this is free? So he had an expression of disbelief. Yes, that's correct. It's our job to help you adapt quickly. The first class began. It was an education about Korean society and culture. What is democracy? The instructor asked. We took the class together with other North Korean defectors. They were all people with similar experiences. Here you can even criticize the president. If you think a government policy is wrong, you can freely express your opposition. All the students were amazed by the instructor's explanation. It was something unimaginable in North Korea. The food served at lunchtime was also surprising. White rice, meat side dishes, and fresh vegetables. We can eat this every day? Asked the North Korean defector sitting next to me. Yes, here everyone can eat to their heart's content, replied the staff. So he grabbed my hand and whispered, Brother, do you think our father is watching? Seeing us living like this? He is, and he must be happy. That night, lying on the dormitory bed, so he said, Brother, I think we did the right thing. What? Defecting? Risking our lives to come here. Yes, you did the right thing. Now I feel like we can truly live like human beings, without worrying about anyone, without fear. We could see the night view of Seoul through the window. Countless lights were twinkling. Beautiful lights created by free people. Sohee, thank you. For what? Because of you, I was able to get here. If you hadn't been brave, we would still be suffering in North Korea. Thank you too, brother. I couldn't have done it alone. We hugged each other. Now we were truly free. A freedom where no one could separate us. 3 years passed. August 15, 2027, Liberation Day. I was sitting in my office at the Agency for Defense Development. On the desk was a spread-out drone design. Dr. Lee Chulman, the meeting is ready. A junior researcher called me. Doctor, it still felt awkward. Entering the conference room, several generals and researchers were seated. Doctor, Lee's drone reconnaissance design is truly excellent, said the Vice Chief of Staff of the Air Force. It seems very useful for reconnaissance in North Korean regions. The drone I designed could avoid North Korean radar and conduct high-altitude reconnaissance. My experience as a former North Korean pilot was a great help. Thank you. I'm glad to be of some help in defending our country. After the meeting, I headed home. It was our apartment in Gangnam District, Seoul. As I opened the door, I smelled a warm dinner. Brother, you're home? Sohee came out wearing an apron. She looked much healthier than 3 years ago. What are you making? Bulgogi. It's Liberation Day today. It's a special day, so I have to make special food. Sohee was now working in the cybersecurity team at the National Intelligence Service. She was utilizing her hacking skills, acquired in North Korea for the defense of our country. How was work today? We discovered a new attack, patterned by North Korean hackers. Thanks to that, we were able to block it in advance, Sohee said proudly. While having dinner, Sohee said, Brother, did you watch the Liberation Day ceremony today? Yes. We all watched it together at the Research Institute. After listening to the president's speech, I felt warm inside. He talked about the value of freedom and peace. Yes, it's truly valuable. It's what we risked our lives to find. After the meal, we went for a walk in Hangang Park. Many people were out by the riverside. Families were enjoying their time eating chicken and beer. I envy those people, Sohee said. What? The way they enjoy freedom so naturally. They live thinking freedom is a given right from birth. We are one of those people now. We sat on a bench and looked at the Han River. In the distance, the sky over North Korea was visible. Appa, I sometimes wonder. What? How is Park Hyun-woo doing? Park Hyun-woo. That guy who chased me. He's probably doing well. He's probably still a pilot. Do you think he resents you? I don't know. But he'll understand someday. Why we made that choice. At that moment, Sohee's phone rang. Hello? Yes, this is the National Intelligence Service. Sohee answered the call and her expression turned serious. You need to come to work right now. It's an emergency. What happened? North Korea is attempting a large-scale cyber attack. I need to go and stop it. So-hee hurriedly returned home. 2 hours later, So-hee came back exhausted. How did it go? We stopped it. North Korean hackers tried to hack our power plant system, but we blocked them in advance. That's a relief. Appa, thanks to the information we brought, we can prevent these things in advance. It was a really good thing we did. So-hee felt proud. The weekend arrived. We visited Incheon Airport. Why are we here? So-hee asked. This is where we first arrived 3 years ago. I wanted to commemorate it. We went up to the observation deck and looked down at the runway. It was the same runway where we landed 3 years ago. I remember that time. So-hee said. It was scary but also exciting, thinking we had finally found freedom. We watched the planes take off and land. It was a peaceful scene. Appa, should we have a baby? So-hee suddenly said. A baby? Yes. Now that we can live stably, I want to raise a child in a free land. My heart raced. That's a good idea. Our child will be born free from the start. For that child, North Korea will be a story about a distant grandfather's hometown. An old story that doesn't feel real. That's a good thing. That child won't have to go through the pain we endured. The sun began to set. The sky turned red. Appa, do you think Father is watching us? He is, and he's probably proud. Because we avenged Father and are living freely. And because we are working for our country. On the way home, So-hee said, Appa, I'm happy. Me too. We've truly come a long way. It was worth risking our lives. Let's continue to live happily in the future. Yes, we will. That night, before falling asleep, I looked out the window. The night view of Seoul was sparkling, the lights of free people. 3 years ago, we left North Korea prepared to die. So-hee risked her life to bring out North Korea's nuclear secrets. And now, we are enjoying that freedom and leading the way in protecting our country. What So-hee protected by collapsing in 10 seconds. It wasn't just simple information. It was freedom itself. True sky does not take orders. It is freedom. And we are now living under that sky. Thank you to everyone who listened to the end. I hope this story serves as a reminder of the value of freedom.